Did you know that most people get rich with real estate? Over the last 200 years, 90% of the millionaires that were made in the world came from real estate. And I know you're thinking, well, but it takes too much money to get involved in real estate. It takes money to make money. I don't have that kind of money. Well, it can actually take zero money. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how to get involved in real estate investing, making money with real estate for no money down. Hi, my name's Tyus. I make videos about freedom, personal freedom, and if you're interested in financial freedom, hit the subscribe button below because I got a bunch of videos all about that and more to come. So I want you to be aware of when they come out. Now, we're gonna talk about getting financially free in real estate, using real estate as the tool to get there. And we're gonna start by talking about the conventional ways, things that do take money. However, I promise I'm going to share with you at least 3 ways to make money without spending anything to get involved in real estate. One of the wonderful things about investing in real estate is that you can use a lot of leverage with it. Now, leverage is simply the ability to use somebody else's skill set, finances, resources to your own advantage. Basically, you get to take advantage of somebody else. And I'm not saying take advantage because they can win too in this arrangement, but you get to take advantage of their assets, their resources for your own benefit. And so I'm gonna give you a couple examples of leverage. The first house that I ever purchased, I didn't have very good credit at the time. And so I leveraged my friend's credit. We bought the house together and I leveraged his credit because it was better than mine at the time. Another much more common way of leveraging is to leverage funds. Banks will loan you money so that you can buy a house. Now, there's only one other asset that I can think of that you can borrow money from a bank in order to grow your wealth, and that is a business. But a business is a really complicated, dynamic, and often unexpected type of asset. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. While real estate's fairly consistent, people that invest in real estate generally get the same kind of returns over and over and over again. So there's less risk involved in it. And the government even gets involved because they want you to own real estate. So you can get an FHA loan for 3.5% down. What that means is that you can put very little amount of your own money in and end up owning a gigantic asset. The second home I purchased, I got it with an FHA loan on my own credit. The house cost about $80,000 when I purchased it, $82,000. It's tripled in value since then, and I only put down like a few $1,000s to get the house. Less than a car to buy an entire house that has made me money since I bought it. Buying a house is a good bet even before you start renting it out, and that's for 3 reasons. One is depreciation, then there's appreciation, then there's inflation. So let me go over each one of these. So depreciation is going to be the fact that the building, the house that you buy, actually goes down in value every year. It benefits you by about 3.6% every year in your taxes. So there's a huge benefit in the fact that the value of the house is going down. However, the value of the land is going up by about 3.9%. So you also get appreciation. You have to get to pay less taxes, and the thing becomes worth more in money, in value every single year. Plus, if you are leveraging money from a bank, if the mortgage on that, the interest rate on the mortgage is lower than the rate of inflation, you're actually making money by having debt. It's absolutely insane, but there's a lot of benefit there in just buying the house alone. That's before we actually turn it into an asset by renting it or other ways to make money. We'll go into that right now. So there's 3 basic ways of making money with real estate. There's 3 strategies. The first is a buy and hold strategy, then there's flipping, then there's renting. So buy and hold is really not my jam. It is people that buy houses and then they kind of time the market and they hold on to it for a long time and then eventually sell it. It's similar to playing the stock market, where they're hoping they can time the market. And it's a lot easier to time than the stock market because the stock market's pretty volatile, while the housing market is way less volatile. It is easier to time. The second way to make money is by flipping houses. We're gonna go into that a lot more later, but the basic idea is you buy a house, you fix it up a little bit, and you sell it for more than it cost you to purchase it initially. And then the third way is to rent it, which everybody probably knows what renting a house is. So you buy the house and then you rent it to somebody else. You rent it for more than the mortgage is, and you make profit every single month. We're gonna go into each one of these a little bit more in detail. Flipping houses can be really attractive for a lot of reasons. I mean, the biggest one is that it's really quick profit and big profit you can make in a very short period of time. Buy a house, clean it up a little bit, sell it. Seems like a really easy strategy, and it kind of is. Plus, you get to learn a lot about construction, you get to understand the real estate market, you get to build a network of people in that industry. You get to meet realtors and attorneys and contractors, inspectors, insurance, investors, all of those things. But there's also a lot of cons in it because you can lose, and you can lose without a lot of warning. There's unexpected expenses that can pop up at any given time. You buy the house and suddenly, oh, actually it needs a new roof. Well, I didn't see that coming. Or there could be a massive shift in the market. Another major drawback is capital gains. Because you're making this massive amount of money, you've got to pay tax on that money very, very fast. Now, there is something called a 1031 exchange where you could roll it into another investment. But if you're just talking about flipping by itself, just buying, flipping the house, you'd have to deal with the capital gains implications, which is a bad thing. But my big problem with flipping houses is it doesn't really provide passive income. In fact, it provides really active income. You gotta work really hard. You've gotta find this deal, then you've gotta put a bunch of labor, time, energy, and coordination into making the house better, and then you gotta find somebody to sell it to and do it all over again, over and over again for this to happen. So you're working, this is a full job. And so as a person that really values their freedom, I don't wanna be tied to this thing that I've created. I don't want to build my own prison where I work myself to death just to make a nice profit. That's not free to me. And so this flipping thing is not really for me. And that's why I like renting. I think there's a lot more things in your favor for renting. Primarily, the big one for me is the passive income. It's also really, really stable for the long term. You can say, hey, I want you to sign a 2-year lease, and you know you're going to have this income coming in for 2 years. Now, there might be some minor things that take place. You know, a appliance might go out, could be one of the biggest expenses you might have. But for the most part, it's not that high risk. Now there is the potential that you get a bad renter in there that can destroy your house, and it kind of sucks that you have to select tenants. So if you're careful in the selection process of tenants and you get a good tenant in there, this is a really low risk way of making long-term passive income. Again, there's upfront costs, but we're gonna get to the free ways to handle this a little later. You also don't have to own an entire house in order to rent out parts of a house. Let's say you're renting a house and it has some other rooms in it. You could rent those rooms out to people in order to offset your rent or even overcome the entire price of your rent or maybe your mortgage payment. You could just rent out some of the rooms. It's a really great way of making money. Plus, it's stable just like renting out a full place. And what's really wonderful is you don't have the risk of the tenant being particularly terrible because you live there. You kind of know if they're bad. They can't get away with it for 2 years of destroying your place because you'll see it if they are destroying your place. There is one major con in doing this, and that is you kind of get a lack of privacy, right? Somebody else is enjoying the same space as you, so you live with somebody else. For some people, that's a deal breaker. For other people, like myself, I don't care. Another way of renting that is really, really successful as of late is short-term rentals. Now, this was only made possible due to advancements in technology that made this easy. But now that it is easy, things like Airbnb and VRBO have taken over. Basically, you can rent out a room for a night, for a month, for a week, whatever. Or you could rent out an entire house, whatever you want to do. The value of this is that you get much, much higher rents than you would if you were doing long-term rental. And also you get to automate really the marketing because there's these services like Airbnb that handle the marketing for you. They put it up on their websites so you don't have to create a website and find clients, they find them for you. There are drawbacks to it. So it requires a lot more activity involved in managing it. So either you have to figure out ways to automate that, and there are definitely ways to automate that, or you've got to manage it yourself. Also, because people are coming and going, you've got to handle some cleaning, or you've got to hire somebody to handle the cleaning and the turnover of the space. That can be kind of a bummer. Now, as promised, let's get into the free ways of doing this. There are free options in getting paid from real estate. And there's 3 of them that come to mind for me. One is called wholesaling, or brokering is what it really is, but it's referred to as wholesaling. The second is subletting. The third is property management. And so let's look at each one of these. So wholesaling is one of the most unknown ways of making money in real estate, and it's completely free, but it's really brokering a deal between two parties. Here's how it works. You find somebody who's willing to sell their home. Basically, you say, hey, I'm willing to buy your home for this set amount of money. And if they say yes, you have them sign a contract that says, I'm gonna buy this house in 30 days and I'm gonna give you this much money, but it gives you an escape clause. Now, within those 30 days, you have that much time to find somebody that is willing to buy that property for more than you've accepted to buy the property for. Ultimately, you're selling that property to this other person that you've lined up. Now, this is essentially a way of just making completely free money off of a real estate transaction. And there's a lot of people doing this. If you see signs up that say, we buy houses, or you get a call and they're like, hey, are you interested in selling your house? They're almost always wholesalers that are doing this, which brings us to the cons of doing this. First off, this is not passive or reoccurring income. This is something that is an ongoing chase, and it's not as profitable as other ways of making money with real estate, but as far as not investing money, it's really, really great. Also, you have to continually find new buyers and new sellers, which is really hard. And a lot of the best people in this are outsourcing that process and hire telemarketers and other automated dialing services just to get people on the phone to find if they'd be interested in it. Or they handle a lot of mailers. They mail out lots of letters to people saying, hey, interested in selling your house? Interested in selling your house? I'll buy it. And those are wholesalers. So that's one way of making a lot of money without putting any money down. The next way of getting free money by real estate is by doing something called subletting, which is something that I'm in the middle of doing right now. I've got a deal set up and it's going to be closing in by the end of this month. I'm going to have it set up. So I'm essentially going to be renting out a house here in Vegas that has 2 casitas in the back, and then it's a 4-bedroom house in the front. And each casita already has a renter in it. So each one of those is making about $550. So I make $1,100 off of the casitas, and then the house I've got to find a renter for. But the whole property, I am renting the whole property out for $1,500 a month. Why is that a good deal? Well, it means there's a 4-bedroom house, and all I've got to do is find about $400 rent from that house. I can probably rent that house out for $1,500, maybe even $1,600 a month, which means I'll have a tremendous amount of profit every single month that is actually passive without having to put any money down. Now, there is a little bit of liability on me with this. However, the profit, I think, dramatically outweighs that. Now, there's also a way to make money passively with zero money down from real estate with zero liability. It's not something I've done. Well, I've done it with my own properties, but it's called property management. Basically, you are in charge of making sure the place gets rented out. If there's any problems, you make sure that those problems are handled, and you take 10% of the profit from the house passively. Basically, once you've got a renter in there that's doing a great job, you pretty much do nothing and you get 10% of the money from the property with basically zero liability. So it's fantastic. There's very low work, but it is kind of hard to secure these jobs. And one of the big cons is in many states, there's laws and regulations and licenses that are required in order to do this job, which is really unfortunate because it's a fantastic business. But because it's fantastic, a lot of loopholes and a lot of hurdles have been put in people's way in order of achieving it. Did I miss any cool ways of making money on real estate? Because if I did, I want you to comment with them below. If I did, I want to know about them because I'm always looking for new ways of making some passive income. And if you're interested in more tips around financial freedom, around personal freedom, about living the freest life possible, please hit subscribe, share this video with people you love and that might love this content, and I hope to see you on the next video.